that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello everybody, I need a weapon, and welcome back to the Halo Expanded Universe. Today I have for you Halo Envoy by Tobias C. Buckle. Now, if you don't remember Tobias C. Buckle, I know it's been a good long while, in fact almost an entire year now, since I started this entire series, or midway through last year. Well, at the time that I'm recording this, it's October 2nd, but at the time that you're watching this, we're already in 2025. But Tobias C. Buckle, I think he wrote some short stories in Halo Evolutions, and he wrote The Cole Protocol, which took place before the games. That was a Bungie era novel. So we have Tobias back. So what's going on in this book? Well, I had notes, but honestly, I didn't have too many, so I'm whatever. There's this planet with Sangheili and humans trying to coexist, joint peace, because many humans were displaced and left without homes during the war against the Covenant. And so the government, the UNSC, has been doing their best to kind of figure out where to place everybody. So they decided to put them on this planet. However, they discovered Sangheili were already living there, because the Sangheili, they also had some of their homes bombed and destroyed because of us, and so now they're displaced. So there's this whole joint coalition thing of allowing humans and Sangheili to live together in peace on this planet. It's a very tenuous peace. It's also more in the Outer Rim areas, Outer Rim like Star Wars, but just not close to home. And so there's a bit of tensions there. However, we have a liaison for the government, known as, her real name is Melody, but she's the envoy between the Sangheili and the humans, hence Halo Envoy. And there's also some problems with the Sangheili, because the cousin of one of the Sangheili doesn't agree with the peace between humans, so he's trying to stir things up. Outside of that, you also have the Jinaharli, or the Brutes, and they're not too happy about certain stuff, and they just want to ruin everybody's day. But the big thing about this book is two things unfold. One is that we get reintroduced in universe for 6 years, but in real life still quite a few years, because the last time we saw a Grey Team was in the Cole Protocol. But this is also written by Tobias, who wrote the Cole Protocol, so we get a reintroduction to Grey Team from the Cole Protocol, which is pretty cool. On top of that, the other big thing this book does is canonize the Sharkoi. Now, the Sharkoi was this big hulking enemy that was supposed to be in Halo Combat Evolved, but due to time restraints and everything, it just didn't happen. They tried to put it into Halo 2, and again, stuff just didn't go through. They couldn't find a level that would work for it or something. They didn't put it in. Halo 3, they just didn't do it. It was too little, too late. And then Halo Reach, we didn't get the Sharkoi, we got this random alien big boy in one of the early levels of Halo Reach for some reason. But yeah, so the concept, the character, the design was always out there. They just never finalized it into a story. So this book allows us to, get that unused asset in novel form, which is pretty cool. overall, non-spoiler wise, I mean, it's okay. It's this book does the same thing that the Cold Protocol did, which does a lot of good additional world building into the state of the world right now and a lot of other things. Um, I think Cold Protocol did it better because there was so few stories set before the video games that there was a lot to flesh out there. I mean, the Fall of Reach dives into it, but additionally, the Cold Protocol shows like there are insurrectionists, but there are also people who just aren't for the government and live kind of separate from it, because that's one of the big conflicts in the Cold Protocol. In this era, though, of stuff, after Halo 4, we got a pretty good understanding of what the universe is meant to be like right now. So it's not the same, but it is also cool to see Grey Team adjust, because last time Grey Team was active, you know, they were at war. Now they're not. How do you operate in an area like that, in a more morally gray area? So that was really interesting. Um, all the characters are fine. I think part of the problem is at the time of recording this, I've also been reading Malazan by Steven Erikson, and that's just it's such a high bar to drop back down to this book. Just like, and it's not that's no diss on this book. This book's fine. It's solid. It's fine. But when you have such quality and then you go back down to this, you know, again, I keep sounding like I'm tearing it down. Like, this is like getting a homemade meal from mom. Okay, like it's solid, tastes good, delicious, reminds you of home. But then you go to like a 5-star restaurant and have the best like salmon you've ever had in your life. Like, it just hits different. Um, I say your mom's cooking like my mom ever cooked anything. My dad was a cook of the family. My mom can't cook for the life of her. But by and large, I thought it was fine. One thing I don't like about this time period is that, they keep giving me new factions or different bad guys instead of just giving me like solid ones to characterize and grow. Because this book not only mentions the Banished and Atriox, but it has another faction. We already have, um, with the Troy Denning books, we have um, that one group, the Freedom something, I forget. But we have that group. Then we have the Banished. I think at this point now, officially since Halo 5, um, well, this book takes place right before Halo 5. So after Halo 5, that third faction that was introduced all the way back in the Karen Travis books with Jewel Mandama, and that whole faction is essentially obliterated by the end of Halo 5, so that's not really an issue anymore. But still, there's just got a whole bunch of factions and different groups, and it's just like, can I just have like one super fleshed out instead of like a bunch? And it doesn't help that, I'll say, without spoilers, the main brute chieftain, Heat Cab or whatever, is very generic. He, because the brutes also feel a bit displaced. They're a bit resentful of the Sangheili for going against them, even though it's entirely their fault. But they, but Hit Cab's whole goal quickly becomes world domination, and screw our home. I want to rule the galaxy. It's just all very stereotypical cartoon sort of bad guy logic that just kind of throws me out of it. I mean, everything with Jewel Mondam and everything, there's at least nuance there. Or at least Karen Travis gave us nuance, but there's just nothing really to sink my teeth into here um, with that main bad guy. So, the Sharkboy stuff, I'm really happy about. I'm glad that's something that wanted to be used in Halo, but just wasn't able to find a right fit. Could find a right fit in a novel. But by and large, also great team. They're fine, but they were personally never one of my favorite things about the expanding universe. So that's just kind of. But if you really enjoy the Cole Protocol, you might get a real kick out of this one. But that's about it. I only got some slight spoilers. If you don't want those, time to go. Otherwise, you've been warned. So one of the big things is that the Sharkoi are now like this Forerunner created race or something, and they can be like controlled, like with a helmet. You could like control them manually. So Cab gets control of his helmet, and he's like, I'm gonna take over the galaxy with these things. You know, I'm gonna go to Earth. I'm gonna use a teleportation device. I'm gonna bring all these things with me. We're gonna annihilate Earth, and then next stop the galaxy. And it's just quite silly. That being said, it does present a tangible threat for the story to defeat, but it's a Halo novel. And everything important has to happen in a video game, outside of New Blood, where they got yelled at for doing so, or normie fans that read it get mad and go, well, that should have happened in a video game. So then why even bother reading books if nothing important can ever happen in them? You know? But, so, because it's like that, and because fans complained, this book doesn't, you toss it out, and you will miss nothing. And it's the biggest thing. So, like, sure, the Sharkoi could destroy the entire galaxy, or could cause further problems for the galaxy, but I know they're not going to. They'll find a solution by the end of the book, because this is a novel, and all the important stuff must happen in a video game. Anyway, so they take care of it. There is some good stuff with Grey Team, whether or not they're even going to stay Grey Team, if they're going to stay Spartans, because what's their purpose anymore now that the Covenant's no longer a threat? But ultimately, they do stay Spartans. They're going to help the good guys. But like I said, there's not much to bite my teeth into. It's very, I don't want to say shallow, but it's just very surface level. It's a very typical Halo story. But I can't knock Tobias. I mean, he's one of the originals, right? Like, he wrote the Cole Protocol, and they give him a chance to come back. I mean, I would. If somebody asked me to write a tie-in fiction to something that I really loved, of course I'm coming back. I'm just saying it's not like my favorite thing ever. It's not horrible. It's if you love Halo, you're gonna read it. If you don't love Halo, or you're only okay with it, I wouldn't recommend it, personally. I think that's the big thing here. There's only a few novels in Halo that I'd say, even if you're not a fan of Halo, you absolutely should read. This is definitely, no, you gotta be a fan first. But that's basically it. Up next, we have Halo 5, the video game, and then Legacy of Onyx by Matt Forbeck, along with, after that, Bad Blood by Matt Forbeck. So until then, guys, let's finish the fight.